Hi, Jeff Gardner.
Hi, Kitty Swink. How are
How
you?
are you?
Good to see you.
We had I'm challenged, as Jeff will tell you later in this conversation, with technology. So um, I'm here to talk to Jeff, who is our audio producer and general genius about the zip code plays.
Ah,
Jeff is an ensemble member of Antaeus, and he is also not just a wonderful actor, but a brilliant sound designer. If you are an LA Theater Works fan, you've seen him doing live Foley. He does a lot of other stuff. He's performed also as an actor in LA Theater Works. His designs have certainly been at Antaeus, but every major theater in Los Angeles and at the Kennedy Center and in Scotland, and he's just amazing.
I love it.
Edinburgh Fringe Festival, he can do anything. And I will say, just personally, that being on stage in a show that Jeff Gardner has designed is so great because he puts you right into the world.
Ah, my head is already so big. I don't need it's thank you so
But
much.
no, I really mean it.
Thank you.
So, Jeff, Bill Brocktrip and Anna Rose O'Halloran and I came to you and said, we want to do these radio plays. How do we do it? And we knew we couldn't do it without you. And you stepped forward. And can you talk a little bit about how you figured out what to send everybody and what equipment to buy and what the logistics were? And then I'll ask you more questions.
Yeah. Well, it sounded like a fantastic idea, and I always am learning as I go. So when you guys asked that, I was of course, well, yeah, this sounds exciting. How do we do this, especially in COVID? How do we get people in a recording studio and have them record and listen to each other and respond and have interplay, and but they can't be in the same room? Interesting. So yeah, that was definitely the biggest challenge is how do we and of course if we're using SAG-AFTRA actors, equity actors, what are the stipulations of that? So you guys told me the sort of logistics, and then I sort of figured out how can we do this. And I have behind me already something I've been using for several years, which is this isolation shield, sort of almost like a little portable booth with a mic in there. And I knew that that's a possibility. We could give, every actor their own sort of shield so that they could work without all that noise background. Then the other thing was trying to figure out, okay, well, what's a mic that everybody can use that is USB that can kind of be plug and play, and nobody has to worry about all the interface that goes with it and figuring out how do I hook up the interface to the computer, to the mic. So I had talked to a few of my fellow sound designer friends actually, and they recommended, which a lot of people have been using, the Yeti mic, which is kind of become a standard for podcasts now. And when I went online to find, I don't even know if I told you this story before, but
No.
the Yeti mics were not available. Everybody was using them. So I went everywhere. I went online, New York, and I went into the Midi. I mean, I tried every single place that I could think of, and they were all sold out. They were on back order, and they would be on back order for months, they said. So just by chance, there was another mic that I was researching that I found that's called a Rode NT USB, which I have right here.
Yay.
And this is the mic that was available, and it was on back order, the same as the Yeti, all over the country, except for one place in Utah, which said they had just gotten a shipment in. So I said, okay, I think I want 4. Do you have 4? And they said, we have 4, and we can send them out right away. So it was actually, I think, better for us. The Yeti probably would have had a little bit too much room floor noise, and this one, while it's does pick up a little bit of that, it's got more clarity and warmth, which I really love for our recordings. So yeah, we got these isolation shields, we got the Rode mics, everybody got a pair of headphones that was the same. Everybody got Ethernet cable because we knew we were going to record via the internet. So we had to have a really nice, stable internet connection for everybody. And no scripts, no paper. So we wanted the scripts to all be off of their iPad so that they could just scroll and not worry about any of the paper handling as they sort of scroll, turn their pages. So that was the kit. And you know, I asked around for a few tips on things, but in the end we ended up with something that actually ended up being kind of a backup idea for a kit, but it actually, I think it ended up being better in the long run. So
Well, they sound really good. So,
they sound really good. I'm so excited.
and then you made videos for all of us to, well, I'm not in the place, but Jeff decided that he would send it to the two least technically savvy people in the NTS Theater Company, Brocktrip and I, to be his test cases. And he sent us videos of how to set it up and walked us through it. And it was challenging because Bill and I are, as artistic directors go, really bad sound people. But we got through it, and you helped us. Can you talk about making the videos and making sure they were clear enough for everybody?
Yeah, that was something I've never done before. So I knew once we had the kits in place, like you said, okay, now how does everybody know how to, even though they're plug and play, how do we actually know that everything is being connected properly? And there were a lot of elements. So it's like, okay, great. We set up this booth that everybody's going to get. How to make a video on that and sort of assemble it and make sure that everything's set up right, including almost half the time that I sent this, believe it or not, once it was set up, one of the things I would discover is the sound would be a little hollow. And I couldn't quite figure it out. It'd be a little bit muffled. And what we found out was that the mics, when they were set up, most of the time were backwards. So I would have to kind of create some way so that we could all figure out, okay. And we ended up figuring it out in the long run, but there were some how-tos on how to connect your Ethernet, because you know maybe some people have never connected their router to their Ethernet to their laptop. How to set up the mic and get all the settings on your computer. So I made a few of those, and then ultimately the platform that we recorded on, which was the most important part. How do we get 3 actors on a cross-platform where everybody can hear each other? The sound is not like it is on Zoom, where there's ducking when people talk over each other. And just that you have the stability of that over the internet. And so we found a platform called CleanFeed. And CleanFeed, a lot of podcasters use it, where it's multi-tracking, and you can have 3, 4 more people on the platform. They can listen to each other, and you can isolate each track individually. So people can talk over each other. There's no ducking. The quality of the sound is great. There's no issues with latency or anything like that. So CleanFeed ended up being kind of one of the most valuable tools that we used in terms of these zip code radio plays. So, and it worked. The stability was awesome. We had no problems with internet, virtually no problems. The only problems we had were with echo. And that was when somebody didn't have their headphones on. Maybe the bleed would come through on their computer. So we would have to make sure that the computer's audio was off and it was just coming through the headphones themselves. So that was fun.
So my favorite thing is that we went to, and you and Nicole Samsel, who's the genius scheduler of all time, she's so amazing, figured out how to get the kits to people, get them back, have them clean, have them be safe, and all of that. But we go to record our first zip code play, and there was 116-degree weather, and people were having rolling blackouts, and broadband was failing all over LA. And one of our actors, Harry Groner, the wonderful Harry Groner, is up in the first play, and he's without broadband. And you fixed it. You figured out a way to still get it recorded so we could stay on schedule. How did you do that?
Had some really good help. So our audio editor, Adam Macias, who we've used at Antias for a couple plays in the past as a video designer. Right. When the broadband went out, we were trying to figure out a solution, and we were both on the phone together, and Adam and I were talking about what we could do. And one of the things that came up was a hotspot. And literally it was like, oh, so Harry doesn't have internet, but he does have his phone. So we got a hotspot on his phone. We connected the internet on his computer to the Wi-Fi hotspot that was on his cell phone. And it was great. And I was surprising how quickly the internet went back up and we had no issues with his internet after that. So I thank Adam Macias for that. So again, using my team, like the team I had on this, Nicole, Samsel, Adam Macias, and then just people that I talk to, like getting some advice on some tips. It's never just me. It's my team and my community. And I was very lucky to have such a great team on this. And I'm very thankful for Nicole and all the hard work that she did, because we were definitely a team on this. So yeah, very thankful.
Now I want to turn to how creative you are, because you're adding all the sound effects and you are working with our wonderful, who you enlisted, our wonderful composer who's done a few shows for us, Ellen. And will you talk about how you guys are approaching the play and how you think about the sound and how you help the directors work with the actors so that you could create the world of each play, because each zip code has a different soundscape to it.
Completely different. Yeah, that was, it always starts with the script. So for us, looking at the scripts that the 6 authors sent to us and mining the script in the same way I would as an actor, but finding clues for sound and environment and sort of the elements of what was in that world, even if it was, one of them is kind of a little bit surreal, and we've got one that's very realistic, different time periods. So maybe there's a different sound in terms of how we hear the play. One of them we hear through FBI tapes. So the tapes are a little bit tinnier, but they're just slightly have that sound like you've been tapped into, overhearing a conversation. But yeah, for me, it's clues. It's all just kind of figuring out what I can look for in terms of how to create a soundscape that's going to sort of envelop that environment. And then working with Ellen Mandel, our composer, is there any music internally? And is there any sounds that we hear that are musical that might be helpful where I can enlist her services? And certainly our theme, which brings us into the world of each play and takes us out of each world, that's Ellen. So Ellen Mandel gets to create this beautiful, lush theme that is the zip code radio theme. And we figured out something together that we really enjoyed, which is that each play is different. And rather than have a theme that is the same consistently that takes us into each play, we wanted to chart it more as does a certain play have an instrument maybe that feels Germanic or feels like it lends itself to this time period. And so what we came up with was a great way to maybe add instrumentation that can be specific for each play's environment, with a soundscape that fades in as her music fades out, and then sort of has this really wonderful handshake into those two worlds. So that was really exciting. I enjoyed doing that. And we're still figuring all that out, because right now we're just in the midst of editing our first. We've recorded all 6, but we're editing right now the 4th play. So we're kind of in, I don't know, it kind of feels like maybe a triathlon or something, and we're just in the middle of it. We still have a long way to go, but yeah.
So it's interesting to me that you said, you referred to it a couple of times, that you approach sound the way you approach acting in a script. Can you talk about that for a second? Because one of the things I love about working with you is about how committed you are to the art of what you do, whether it's acting or designing.
Well, to me, the work I do as an actor and the work I do as a sound designer or Foley artist, they're all the same, in the sense to me that I approach them very similarly because it's emotion. To me, sound is emotion, and being a Foley artist, you're just matching emotion of how somebody handles an object, or how they pick up something, or if it's a fight, obviously you're matching how that sort of fight takes place, what the clothing and what the punches are. But in terms of sound, for sure, I guess I could take one of the plays as an example. Maybe the environment of South Central LA is this wonderful play that we're in the environment from the very beginning. We get out of an older taxi cab, we hear somebody getting out and walking towards a building that they haven't been in for several years, and you hear music emanating, this great rock and roll music from the distance. So for me, it's about evoking. It's evoking something emotionally in the viewer, the listener. And as an actor, it's the same thing for me when I mine a script. I mine for those clues on what is it that the author wants to evoke, you know, what is the author, he or she, trying to say, and how am I as an actor able to serve that vision. And it's the same thing as a designer. I have to think of sound in terms of what is it that our writers are saying, and am I going to actually lend my work to that storytelling by adding that extra envelope that maybe it's not on the page, but maybe it's something that I sort of listen to innately, and it feels right because it does evoke that and inspire that emotion. I hope that makes sense.
Makes absolute sense. I want to thank you for spending a little time with us. I hope everybody enjoys this conversation I'm having with you as much as I'm enjoying the conversation I just had with you. Jeff, you're a genius. You're one of my favorite artists.
Thank you, Kitty. I love you so much. I appreciate you. And I'm so excited to share these plays with everybody, and I can't wait.
Yay. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Kitty.
Bye.
Goodbye. I'll see you later.
Okay.